To start a new game, you have two buttons to choose from. In your workshop, you have Build a New Game, or in the section marked Draft Games is Build a New Game. So I'm going to actually start with a game I've already started. And I'll click Edit. And the first part that you're going to start to fill out is the game settings, not to be confused with the level settings, the game settings. When you click on that, this is where a lot of your introduction to your story is going to go. You need a game name, the message that happens before you actually enter playing the game, the very last line of the game, think of it as the very last line of your story, the ultimate overall goals and rules of your story, and tips and tricks. You are going to be required to fill out every single section of this, including 5 different tips and tricks. So I'll give you some examples. So the story intro is probably going to come from components of your design document. Not all of it, because not all of it's going to fit. There is a 500 character limit that you will be able to fit in from your story. So for example, in this one that I had shown you in one of the other videos, this is the story of finding Joey's mom. So this is the entire story, the entire summary of the story. You need to decide from this section which part needs to be in the very beginning before they start to play the actual game. So in the example, this is how much of the story was put in the beginning. Obviously there is a much smaller piece of the story put in from what is actually found in the game. So you need to decide how much of the story is actually going to be part of in here. Yes, you can copy and paste from the document, but know that, like I said to you before, there is a character limit. Your win message. It is the very last line of your story that you need to tell whoever is playing your game to end the story. Congratulations, or you found Joey's mom, or whatever it is. Goals and rules. These are the general goals and rules for the entire game. Now this can also be part of the storyline, or it can be literal goals and rules, but keep in mind this is a general of the entire game, not just specific different levels. So some of the different examples for the end, you can be very literal. In this game there are goal blocks and timers. You can be a little more colorful, or playing with what is going on in your story. Struggle through 5 levels, hardship and strife, being a fugitive, you need to save the world as only you can see. Don't lose your lives, again, very literal. Get to the goal block, or be creative. I think being creative is a little more fun, however, you can be literal, but this is a generalization of what is happening in the entire game, not just first level, second level, so on. The next and last section, tips and tricks. Tips and tricks are, again, giving the player things that they need to know throughout the entire game. Just like the goals and rules, you can be very literal, or you can get a little creative. So, for example, this one, fairly literal. Don't frag the messengers, or how to actually use your different controls, combination of both. You do need all 5, not just 3. So that is the game setting. So this isn't actually setting up the levels, this is setting up the intro before the game starts and the very last message. It is things they need to know throughout the entire game. Building a level. I started to show you building a level before as examples when you started to put the descriptions in your design document. So what you have written in the bottom here, now you're actually going to create each of your different levels. And that is down in here. So settings, name of the level. Levels should never be called merely level 1. Intro to the level. You have written that into this right here. This was written more so more creative, but you can copy and paste it. Again, there is a character limit, only 100 characters. So this actually was a little too long when it came time to actually putting this in. So I'm going to copy this one. This is actually going to kick it back out. So I will Control C, and then at the end of the level, Control V, but you'll notice that it cut off the end, and you would have to abbreviate. So that's what would happen to if cut off, copy and paste, and you'll just have to figure out how to abbreviate it to whatever degree that you're looking to make sure that it gives the message that you need. This is where you're going to choose your different perspective, top-down or platformer. Keep in mind, once you switch the two different perspectives, some of your sprites will go dark because they are built for the other type. If you try and put in something that is different than what the perspective it is, you're going to get an error message. We talked about scrolling and multi-screen. So if you are looking to keep it as a single screen, you can also choose wraparound. And you have already described this in your first section. Bounding, no bounding. Backgrounds. There is a challenge called the Custom Background Challenge. You are able to upload your own images that you can choose from so that you can have whatever custom background you are looking to choose. You can upload an image, so if you find something from the internet, make sure it is something that is not copyrighted. So if you choose to search, these are all going to be approved. So if I wanted my background to be some kind of forest, searching my different images. Now keep in mind, the aspect ratio is going to make the image change. So if you have something that is portrait view, it's going to be stretched because the games are all, for the most part, landscape view unless you make it multi-screen. So I'm going to put that one in. And you can see that it will obviously fill in for the background. Again, that is a challenge. It's called the Custom Background Challenge. There's a couple of different challenges in there from your workshop. One of them is not the Custom Background Challenge. It just gives you different backgrounds. We walk through talking about the tiled and stretched, so it does change what's going on with the image based on how big the image is. So this was stretched out so that you can actually see the entire image, where this could repeat the image if the image is smaller than what the background is. Right now, actually, the image is bigger than what the background is, so you're not going to see this. If I went back in and made this more multi-screen, and I will bring it all 10 by 10, and then as we start to scroll through, the image does start to repeat because it's tiled in, but the image itself is very large, which is in the settings. This is how much it's essentially zoomed in and zoomed out. So as you walk through, if I said none, it is going to maintain the same exact background throughout. Whereas if I put it all the way to locked, the background is going to move with you. And then music, not putting in any of the music. You can choose the music. No, it does not allow you to upload music. Now, very important, to create a new level, you need to click this button right here. You don't need to make a new game. This is a confusion for a lot of people. Our new level here, not a new game. The order that is presented in here, so I'm going to create a new level. The order that is in here is the order of gameplay. If you decide that your level is one level needs to be switched, all you have to do is a drag and drop. Just because it's called level 1, level 2 doesn't necessarily make it that that's the order it plays. The order that's in here is the order that it plays. Your levels are required increasing level of challenge. Your first 3 levels must be playable and beatable by every single person in the class. Once it comes to levels 4 and 5, then those of you that are more of a gamer will definitely be able to really increasing your level of challenge. Last but not least, when you go to put in and remember avatars, there's only one. However, with enemies, just as a reminder, the enemies do not have to be enemies. If you wrench on them and decrease their level of damage to 0, they become a non-player character, and they can be whatever you want. This you did do in your first quest, how to repeat. So if you wanted everything to start going to the right and they're going to go straight and then they will reverse, you can then take your dropper tool, and when you click on the character, you can copy and paste it. Same thing goes for blocks. So if you have a different damage block or something of that nature in there, and you have set it to do something specific, you can then use this to copy it. You see the red box, and there you go. Good luck.